rolling around. Maybe on the new Death Star. Who knows? Yeah.
You know, if someone wanted to give Mel Brooks $30 million, Mel Brooks would make Spaceballs 2, Revenge of Dark Helmet, or whatever it's going to get.
Oh, you sold me! You sold me! I want that movie so bad.
They'd have
Get
to
Rick Moranis out of retirement.
Rick Moranis out of retirement. I don't know what that dude's doing. He's in Santa Monica somewhere, surfing, bodyboarding. I don't know. Get that dude back in the helmet.
You know, I don't think there's the J. Jonah Jameson movie.
No.
So
he just runs the newspaper the whole time.
Yeah, it's all
J. Jonah on a race against time to save the paper.
Only news.
To save the print medium.
It's like Newsroom instead.
He's fighting the internet.
Right.
It's like Newsroom.
Yeah. I should have been pumped up when he's riding with those velociraptors, but all I heard was like a ting, fa 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 fa. It was like some weird. Yeah. And you know, maybe
I'm gonna sample that and make that my ringtone. You just did.
I will do that into your phone. Well, I heard they haven't announced yet because he's still working on Green Lantern 2. Woo!
Schnepp, what about you?
Anyway. Hey guys. Sorry, I'm just looking at this really cool Star Trek Enterprise metal statue thing that I got. What? Star Trek Into Darkness? And I think it's the best movie of the summer.
You know, to get all the guys there. You know what I said? All those freaking guys.
Schnepp, buy or sell these new posters?
Well, you know how much I love Legos. I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, they're cute. Whatever. I can't wait to play the game movie thing. I watched the trailer. I'm building a double couch right now, guys. So.
Yeah, 4M is what I call it, or Menglis, Mambla, Fimblim. I always forget which one it is, so 4M or MMMM. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's Scott Pilgrim 2, or I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that looks like the back of that Ant-Man concept suit. You could zoom in on this one pixel in the back, and you could see the front of Ant-Man's face.
Exactly.
I call poo-poo on that. That's cannon fodder for me. That's what I say.
They'll have Batman standing in front of it. So.
Yeah, I doubt it. I don't think they're ready to show us that. Schnepp, you ignorant slut. You fool. You moron. You optimistic nerd. Of course they're not going to show Batman standing in front of the Batmobile, and of course I was right. Oh wait, I was wrong.
See guys, in my amazing, just my brain, I don't know how it's magical how it works. I was going back to Michael Keaton, and how a lot of people were like had problems with Michael Keaton being cast as Batman. This is a lot before you guys were born. This was like back in 1988, and how they premiered him as Batman is I think it was an Entertainment Weekly. They premiered it in a magazine, a weekly magazine. This is before the internet worked.
It was made with paper.
Yeah, paper.
Yeah, old
papyrus
stuff.
from trees. But it was Michael Keaton in the full black outfit with the Batmobile, the really badass Tim Burton style Batmobile. And so for some reason, yesterday when I saw that back end part and we were talking about, it looks like the Tumbler and a little bit of Burton's Batmobile, I was like, wouldn't it be cool? I didn't think they would do it, but it makes sense.
No, own it, man. Own it. Say you knew.
Guys, I totally knew it was going to happen.
Schnepp, are you excited for a Tetris movie?
Don't lie now.
I like shapes. I like moving shapes around and fitting them into other shapes. But that's not a movie, all right? This is idiotic. We've reached a new low where we have some executive explaining, we're not putting feet on the shapes, but it's shapes. It's like, come up with another, why even Tetris? Philbix, Gromlor, Scrimbix. There's a brand new title. You don't have to pay for the IP. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm adapting a brand new movie. It's called Breakout. It's about some dudes in a rainbow prison.
Schnepp, what do you think?
I don't know, Aliens and Predators 3 with Eddie Murphy, Danny DeVito, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're all of them are all hanging out together in like inside the womb of somebody. They're having triplets, and then they all come out as aliens.
And Danny Glover. You got to throw Danny Glover in
there.
Right.
Danny Glover is on a giant like toilet flying in the sky. Yeah, that's how much I think Aliens and Predators 3 is going to happen. So, one of my favorite questions is, how many floors are on the Enterprise? And the answer is none, because it's not real. But I have the Star Trek manual in the fleet. And it's like, look, dude, that somebody drew that. Well, I can't say I love Star Trek the motion picture because I fell asleep like 3 times when I saw it in the theater because it's boring. But Star Trek Wrath of Khan, incredible film. Star Trek 3, really fun. Star Trek 4, really, really, really good. What was it called? The Voyage Home.
Voyage Home was great.
Have them right here so I could look at them. The Final Frontier, incredibly stupid, horrible film. The Undiscovered Country, getting back to good Star Trek movies. Generations, Malcolm McDowell's in it. That was the best part. First Contact, it was okay. Insurrection, horrible film. Nemesis, horrible film.
Hey, what's going on? Sunday, here we are hanging out with you. What's going on? Maybe he's gonna like come around and like save Shazam at the end. He's like, "I told you so, jabroni." You know, the fight. You know, smell what
If he
Black
says
Adam's
jabroni,
cooking.
I will send a check for $100 to Warner Brothers, just like that, if he says jabroni in it.
Showing what appears to be the Gotham City jail.
It's a doorway.
It's a doorway. Relax, everybody.
But John, people walk through it who are in the movie. There are characters who will walk through that doorway. Don't you understand?
Some of the most villainous characters in the Batman pantheon of Schnepp.
I'll buy it just because she's doing the Xavier mind. Like, you will buy it, won't you? Yes, Lake Bell, I have bought your movie. Yes.
Maybe even 700 million?
Right, with all the additional extras.
Just
Hey, everyone,
to break even. From Psycho Gorilla.
Psycho Gorilla.
You cannot tell me that is not his birth name. I'm convinced his parents named him that. So Psycho Gorilla.
I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Gorilla, your son or daughter, Psycho, has a very interesting question.
I'm assuming that's not the same guy who runs the big talent agency.
He
in
is a
Hollywood.
cigarette. He is literally a cigarette who writes.
Hail AMC. I guess it's a Hail Hydra reference. I love this picture of you too. Found you guys last year on your Man of Steel review and have been watching ever since. Thank you so much, William. Speaking of reviews, I heard a rumor that John, John, that's me, didn't let Schnepp do the review of Amazing Spider-Man 2 because he didn't like the film. Is this true? If so, how do you decide what films to review and who reviews them? Actually, that's the second part of that question is a really interesting question about how we decide what to do. Okay, the only reason on Mailbag, I kind of like doing a little bit of behind the scenes stuff with Mailbag. This is less formal than we do movie talk. So the only reason I agreed to take this question though was because a lot of people were speculating in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 spoilers review that we did that I have some kind of power over you. And I said,
like, you will not be on this. No,
you cannot do it because how dare you not like Spider-Man 2? And so a bunch of people were asking that. And then you came in the studio the other day. I didn't know about this. You came in the studio the other day and goes, did you see some nut job made a video about you didn't let me do Spider-Man 2?
It's like here's the truth of the matter is I went and saw Spider-Man.
Well, let me say this first though. Let me say this first. And for the record, Schnepp, for that Spider-Man 2 review, Schnepp, in the review too, I mentioned in the spoilers review, I wanted to make sure Schnepp's views were reflected. So I made sure that in the review, I stopped and said, "Hey guys, by the way, Schnepp, who was not on this review, Schnepp did not like this film, and he probably would have given it like a 2 out of 10." And I double checked with you, and you said, "Yeah, that would be it." For the record, Schnepp contacted me.
Yeah, I called him and said, "Hey, I'm not gonna," because I was gonna be on the spoiler show. I went and saw it Thursday, and I was like, dude, I can't be on the spoiler show because I absolutely hated it. I'm furious and angry. And even talking about it, even now,
you start to get worked up.
I get angry.
I see your face getting red.
Yeah, because I feel a disappointment that I don't want to express it because I could go on for like 4 hours. So it's like,
I tried to talk him into it.
Yeah.
I said, I said, Schnepp, it's okay if you didn't like it. It's great. We'll talk about the positives, we'll talk about the negatives, and we'll just rationally say, and then we'll give our score. Nothing wrong with that. But he was like, I cannot be rational talking about this movie.
Yeah, and I also felt like because I really didn't like it, that it's like, I think in spoilers, you're giving the positive and the negative, and I didn't have any positive stuff to say about it. Even in the scenes that I thought were fun or worked, I like those scenes even less.
Right.
Because it was like, that's what the movie should have been, and it's surrounded by all this other stuff.
You did see a lot of positives in this film, because we had the same list of positives and negatives, but it was just that the negatives were so strong for you. To you, it kind of, even though you agreed that certain things were good things about the film, they were just completely wiped out and overshadowed by the negatives.
Yeah, it just took it down to like a 2. Like you said, I was like, maybe 1, maybe 2. But because it was so disappointing, you could see the movie that it wanted to be, struggling, and all this other stuff on top of it, and really bad decisions. And we can go into the whole Spider-Man review, but yeah, suffice to say, I pulled myself out of doing the review because I felt my tone itself would have been too negative, and I couldn't even, like, I'm not gonna lie, That's my
Yeah,
thing.
no,
I'm
no,
not
yeah,
going
and
to put on
we-
a fake
and we
face and
shouldn't
be
lie.
like,
No, no,
because
no.
John was like, well, you could mention things that are positive about it. I was like, I don't feel that way right now. I don't know if like in 2 weeks I'll feel that way. So
We're not going to get up there and say, oh yeah, this latest, I don't know, John C. Reilly comedy, and I love John C. Reilly, but this latest John C. Reilly comedy, Bigfoot in the Bahamas, yeah, it's good. You should go see it, even though we thought it was trash. We will never, ever do that.
I just want to say I personally loved Bigfoot in the Bahamas,
I wanna
especially
see
that
movie.
spring scene where they were like in the hot springs. That was incredible.
That was very good. The CG was amazing. in that.
Fantastic.
Spoilers review.
And to be fair, it's like it is called it's AMC. We work for a movie theater company. I mean, we have our own criticisms and our own reviews, but it's Amazing Spider-Man is opening in like 4,000 AMC theaters.
Yeah.
So I felt like if I can't say anything, I'm not going to trash a movie.
Yeah.
That I can't say anything positive about, especially on a review show that is basically housing that movie.
Yeah.
I can freely say whatever I want on my Instagram, on my own review shows,
Yep.
which I did, but I didn't feel like I pulled myself out because that's the wrong approach. Right, and I didn't even know if I'd like it or not, but I was like, hey, I saw the trailer. It looks like I hope I'll like it. I hope it'll be fun. And I was really blown away at what a fantastically funny film
Yeah,
it was.
great.
So.
Watch our spoilers review of Neighbors. It's already up. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, then our Neighbors spoiler review is already up. Check it out. Well, as long as you've already seen the movie too.
Right.
Because
it's
we give a
full
lot
of spoilers. That we're arguing or that go further.
Everybody knows I hate your guts.
I can't stand
I
Campia.
just put up with you when we're on,
I know.
on camera.
Yeah, we're just like, this is all fake. Yeah, when you see us hang outside of AMC, that's also fake. We hired duplicate. We're like part of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have robot duplicates. And we were like secretly fighting each other on a giant interweb video game. It's just fantastically strange. Like, please write some fan fiction about it. I would like to be a MODOK creature floating above Campia. I have finally destroyed you, Campia. Or waste your time making weird videos about how I'm being controlled by the super Campias or whatever. I don't, seriously, guys. I watched a few of these things and I was like, wow, that's putting a lot of extra effort into something that really is not, it's vapor. So
yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. There's some very stupid people in the world, and you just got to be able to grin at it and move on. I still haven't watched those videos, but I mean, you came in the other day and told me about one of them. I'm just
yeah,
like,
and it was
really?
a little weird. I was like,
I'm amazed we're big enough that there are actually some people out there who want to make hate videos.
Yeah, it's weird
about us. It's amazing that we're that big.
Yeah, it's astonishing. So yeah, not as J. Jonah. I was just thinking like if I was going to try to cast a black actor to play J. Jonah Jameson, I was thinking of like because J. Jonah can't be too young. He has to be like at least in his 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
But then I was like, man, Kevin Hart, just like his like loud, like angry deliveries. If you can get someone like that, yeah, someone who can act like that, but who's older. So I was like, just going through my Rolodex in my mind. I was like, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Bill Cosby, a little too old to play it. And Schnepp, what do you think?
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away.
Oh, we're doing the whole thing now, are we?
Could it be? Yeah, man. Greatest American Hero. Let's make that. Come on. Somebody should make it. I want to see it.
You think you would do well?
Superheroes flying into garbage cans. The guy could never fly straight. He was always flying into buildings,
This is truly the age of miracles. Not that. We're in it.
Aww.
We're experiencing it. Got Star Wars happening. It's just really a great time to be a movie fan. Here's the thing, though. It's like we are still in the past, considering 2016 is 2 years in the future. So we can wait.
You just blew my mind with astrophysics.
In 1 year, we will still be in the past because 2016 Batman vs. Superman still won't be out. So 2015 San Diego Comic-Con is when they announce the Superman Batman movies.
I'm gonna whatever.
You're gonna whatever.
You're a ball of enthusiasm.
Buy or sell it. I don't know.
Hey, Grandpa, tell us more about 70 millimeters.
I heard it was shot in a 65 millimeter. Well, who else said it was actually 70 millimeter? And Tarantino just let's talk about the lenses.
There's people watching. Come on. You're a host or a stinky hair girl. Let's go.
I got my 4 days to do my hair.
Wash your hair and get on with the show.
Also here is AMC's and writer-director Jon Schnepp.
I'm so glad to be here today.
Hair metal.
Shared universe. Yeah.
You have all these fans like, but if Wasp was playing the show with Rad at the same time the Winger was on stage with Warren, that doesn't match up because they were both at the whiskey the same night.
No, but you see, whiskey, there were two different whiskeys. There was a whiskey here in Hollywood, and there was a whiskey in Glendale that nobody really knew about.
Whiskey Glendale hadn't opened.
Was that on Earth 1 or
underground.
Earth 2?
It was Earth 4.
I hate that I even just proved you wrong because you were like, who was in this other Smurf movie that I didn't see, yet I knew that Katy Perry played a voice in it.
Yeah, no, that's
you did
it.
not
Exactly.
hesitate.
Yeah,
Exactly.
No, I just instantly knew it, but I didn't see the Smurf 1 or 2 film. I probably won't see Get Smurfy either. I'm selling this. I just think it sounds stupid. I mean, it's like, what are the mushrooms organic? I mean, are you serious? Who cares?
I care.
I've never cared about it.
Why don't you care what I feel?
I want a Get Smurfy shared universe, so we get the green and
not
purple
bad.
Smurfs and the red Smurfs. There's 99 female Smurfs to 1 male Smurf.
I don't mind that mixer.
Schmargamel, it's a female, whatever. It's so dumb. I'm probably when it comes out, I'll be like, this is the best movie, one of the best movies ever made. Will Smith and CeeLo's Get Smurfy song really sold me on it. All of us just make a weird exorcist sound if you can. Ready?
Ooh.
Go.
Why you hurt me, dear?
Really terrifying for the people listening on audio podcast right now.
Normally, Ashley would introduce the next person, but I'm going to take liberty of doing that. We have a very special guest. As you know, Jon Schnepp is finishing up his film, The Death of Superman Lives What Happened, which opens tonight, actually, at the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles. And sitting in for him today is Emo Schnepp. Ladies and gentlemen, Emo Schnepp.
What's going on, guys? What's up? Totally just watched the Ted 2 trailer. It's okay. Whatever. Just going to drink some coffee right now.
Also, your AMC's Christian Harloff.
Just do not wear skinny jeans.
Dude, totally rocking my skinny jeans right now.
Please don't. Please don't.
Under this table.
My God. Help us.
Emo Schnepp.
Well, I don't know, man. Kingsman, it's pretty cool. It was all right.
Watch movies every night.
I don't know about Matthew Vaughn. He's kind of stardust. Whatever, dude.
Tony Sparks or whatever, whoever.
Tony Sparks.
What's his name? Is that the guy? Is his first name Tony? Nicholas Sparks.
Nicholas Sparks.
They don't call him Tony
His
Sparks.
brother.
Notebook.
Was in Brooklyn.
They don't
Hey,
go the
Tony Sparks here.
Hey, right. I got this broad, right?
Oh.
She's a big fan of,
Hey.
the pastas.
Let's go. Hey, let's go get a slice.
What do you
Oh,
like?
Tony Sparks over here.
Pass the pepperoni.
Hey.
Hey.
Sitting right over here, sitting in for Jon Schnepp, Emo Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You can find me at all the hipster joints, hanging out, reading the Notebook and stuff like that.
And of course, our lovely host today, Vanessa. Ashley Mova, who will also be live at the Burbank 16 later tonight. Ashley, where can people find you?
Vanessa.
Are you sure you're not doing a Gary Busey impression? It sounds just like Gary Busey.
Gary Busey is a little bit lower and faster and talks about tomatoes coming out of his left earlobe. Hey, I got notebooks over here. Yo,
Hey,
Tony
what are you
Sparks.
gonna do? Whoa, whoa.
Hey, I'm going to watch Avengers Age of Ultrons tonight.
Writer-director, crispy crumpet Jon Schnepp.
Well, hello there. I was just busy talking to some people in England.
You sound like Paddington.
Oh, hello there. Would you happen to have any jam?
Such a quiet grace.
Hey.
I was going to say, you brought up a good point because when I saw Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, I remember I saw it as a trapezoid. Because I was sitting
front corner?
front corner, where the whole movie was some kind of abstract thing with people's nostrils like right up on me. It's such a bizarre experience. Already a weird film.
Schnepp, how good does the new Star Wars have to be?
Misa not so worried about the new Star Wars. Misa okay with JJ.
Is that Paddington and Jar Jar together?
It's a little combination, both of them. Hey, oh, I shit myself.
We can say that on air. I am not worried at all about J.J. Abrams.
How dare you, Paddington? We raised you better than that.
No, it's not that important. I remember I was in Rio de Janeiro working on a commercial pilot like 10 years ago, and I went into a video store and I saw Dune
but it wasn't called Dune because I guess, Portuguese Dune would just translate different. So it was like, I wish I remembered, I wish I bought it first of all, but I didn't. It was like Flautas, A Tale of Two Worms or something super weird like Bonitas. So it was like something that had nothing to do with Dune or sand or anything. It was super weird to me. I was like, "What? Why is this?"
You could call it Episode 7. The Force Awakens could be called Episode 7. Han and Chewie make love, and people would still line up to go. Maybe even more so. They want to see Star Wars, so they don't care what the title is as much. If I'm Aquaman, I'm no longer nervous.
I'm not nervous. I would change the title of Aquaman to Spicy Larry. Misa now called Spicy Larry. Come enjoy.
If you could get Jason Momoa to speak in that voice for Aquaman, that would be brave filmmaking.
Yeah, it would be the most insane thing. Like, how did they even convince him? He's like, Misa don't know. Misa Spicy Larry. He's riding a dolphin.
Misa Spicy Larry.
This is a great film. We would pay up to. I will scalp tickets to see that movie. This isn't an Aunt May situation.
No.
It's just going to come out in 3,000 theaters normally. This is an event. This should play Staples Center.
global.
I'm just trying to see Jason Momoa in that outfit we see him under the poster saying Misa Spicy Larry.
Someone make that poster, please.
The director of The Death of Superman Lives, Spicy Larry. Spicy, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Jon Schnepp and at TDOSLWH at Twitter and Instagrams. Misa, very happy if you come. Go to MCM London Comic Con, May 22nd, May 23rd. Come see Misa's film. The Death of Superman Lives. What happened?
Oh, you can get tickets. I can't keep doing it. And also, I'll be in Atlantic City this weekend at the ACBC Boardwalk Comic Con Sweat Fest. Come on down, say hi to me. So.
Sitting over here, Mr. Mark Ellis. Mark, where can people find you?
I wish Jar Jar broke character like that. And History's like, you know what? I'm not talking like that.
I can't do this anymore.
I'm out. Yeah, he just throws a Gungan thing down.
Ahmed Best is like, I give up.
Yeah.
Our guest here, sitting to Jimmy's right, he is the director of the very popular animated series Metalocalypse. He is Mr. Jon Schnepp. John, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, John?
Thank you so much for being here. Who are the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, I think a better question is what is Marvel's outer space epic? And I think it really actually began in the 60s with the Fantastic Four going into the negative zone and traveling all around into the microverse. And so they started doing these epic space journeys. And so I look at Guardians of the Galaxy, especially the movie version, as Marvel's Star Wars. If you look at it like that, I mean, basically you have the X-Men, you have the Shi'ar, you have Starjammers, you have the Kree, you have Ronan the Accuser. You have all these crazy, weird, freaky characters from the Fantastic Four. Yeah, every single version, like the Avengers, they had Korvac. They had Thor had the High Evolutionary who changed men into weird mutant animals. I mean, there's all these interconnected stories that started out really an example is one of the characters from the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I don't know if they're going to use in the movie version, is Adam Warlock. He started out in Fantastic Four as this bizarre, weird, orange dude that humans created as some kind of experiment to make the super Ultraman. And this was an early Jack Kirby Fantastic Four, Stan Lee Fantastic Four. They beat him. He was like, yo, I'm out of here. He went to outer space. Cut to 10 years later, something Jim Starlin, I think, was like, hey, I'm going to remember that weird orange dude? I'm going to put a gem in his head. He's Warlock. High Evolutionary was like, let me rebuild you, bam. Now he's got some soul gem.
Now, wasn't one of the gems that ultimately ends up in the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah, totally. The Infinity Gauntlet, it's funny because it's a lot of characters from the 70s all had gems in their head. And that was some kind of weird hippie thing. I don't know how to really describe. People are like, I got to come up with some kind of weird, psycho-dimensional character. Let's put some kind of power gem in their head, and their brain emulates power stuff. Signals, lasers come out of the head. And seriously, that's another character from Guardians of the Galaxy, the guy who became Star-Lord. Yeah. And a lot of these characters, the origin is almost the same. It's I'm some dude driving in a truck. Yo, an alien spaceship shows up and messes my world up. I get transported 1,000 years into the future. I have a gem in my head. Bam!
I can my last trip to Vegas.
I can fly around, for Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first Guardians, it was this guy was I'm going to be the first dude to travel for 1,000 years. He wakes up and he's he got strange, it was Gene Colan drew him. So he's bizarre, weird, purple body with a mesh skin face. And so most of the characters in that very first Guardians of the Galaxy translated 10, 15 years later, they just redrew them all. Like Gene Colan drew like, I think it was the guy from, I want to say it was the guy from Jupiter, because Jupiter's mass is so big. He drew him like this giant, almost juggernaut looking like squat dude, because over the millions of years, their bodies adapted into this squat, kind of strange, like slab-like form. So he was like a giant fat dude, and they're like, yeah, that look is not happening. And you know what I'm saying? Like in I think it was like 1971 or whatever. The first one, I don't know the exact years off the top of my head, but like the first one, like all four of those dudes were walking, on the cover, and it's like you got Crystal Dude, you got like blue weird guy with a strange living fin, you got giant squat fat man, and then you have our character who's now like Star-Lord. He was just like a purple weird. He looked almost like Parasite from Superman. If you remember that purple guy, is just like a weird face and just like all purple. That was him. Like, and I don't think they even just mentioned why he had a weird purple mask like on his face.
Star-Lord looks like somebody right out of The Watchmen now.
Now he does.
Star-Lord, I think he looks like somebody right out of
I actually
The
like the new. I mean, it was kind of weird because like growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, I knew the Star-Lord that was kind of like the first like sci-fi take on a character in the Marvel universe, where they were like, yo, it's not really connected to any of the other characters, and he's like in a spaceship and he's got these weird goggles, and I was really into Star Wars at the time, so I was like, oh, it's another spaceship comic book, so that was kind of, and John Byrne was drawing it, Chris Claremont was writing it, and that was like right before the X-Men, so I was really into all those characters.
Let's fast forward now. When I picked up, like I said, I hadn't read Guardians of the Galaxy before last week, and I picked them up, and it where I started reading it from was a very different team than the ones from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
It was now Star-Lord, whose name is Peter
Quill.
Quill, thank you. And the galaxy had just gone through a number of wars and huge battles that left the fabric of space and time very fragile.
Do you mean the galaxy just went through several Star Wars?
Bing. And Peter decides Star-Lord decides he needs to assemble a team that's going to defend. Now, in this incarnation of the team, which I think is going to be more reflective of what we're going to see in the movie, you had Peter Quill, Star-Lord. You had Gamora. You had Drax the Destroyer. You had Adam Warlock. You had, now this is where we start to stretch it a bit. You had Cosmo the space telepathic telekinetic dog. I can't make this stuff up. It's a dog in a CCCP Russian space outfit who was sent into space by the Soviet Union, developed telekinetic and telepathic powers, and is now the security chief of the home base of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What do you mean? It makes total sense.
Yeah, it happens
and he
all
thinks,
the time.
He speaks telepathically, and he thinks in a Russian accent. Every other word ends with ink. And then the most head scratcher of them all is this character named, now hold on to your seats here, named Rocket Raccoon. Now, Ryan, you got a graphic there of the Guardians of the Galaxy, so you can bring it up. Now, Marvel put out a concept piece of art, and for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Now, in it we see Groot, who I haven't mentioned yet, who is basically he's an Ent from Lord of the Rings. He's an Ent.
He's an Ent.
And he only ever says, "I am Groot," at least in the comics that I had read.
At least from the actual original Tales to Astonish, he was like one of those monsters, like, I am Grorb, the sand monster. Then the next issue, I am Groot, I'm a tree dude. Then the next issue, I am Skimball, the octopus thing, because they had to come up with like a different creature every issue, and that's where his origins are. He was like, I was some dude from Tales to Astonish. Now I'm in this movie.
now I'm in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. So we see in the image that Marvel put out, we know we're going to get Groot, we're going to get Drax the Destroyer, we're going to get Star-Lord, we're going to get Gamora, and we're going to get
Rocket Raccoon.
I
love that they're...
Help me wrap my head around this Rocket the Raccoon
Check
character.
it out. Like, all right, I was actually thinking about this on the way here because I was like, I never really like pondered Rocket Raccoon. When I was a kid, I bought those Mike Mignola, the 4-issue Rocket Raccoons, which are awesome. Like the inking on some of them, like he didn't ink them back then himself. He had other inkers. So I remember like, oh, the cover's amazing. And then, strange, scritchy, scratch inking. I just remember like being really tough on inkers when I was a kid, but still I am. Anyway, I was like thinking about this on the ride here. I was like, who would ever come up with Rocket Raccoon? And then I thought about it as like the guy who created him, Steve Gerber. He's, I believe he's dead, unfortunately, now. But when he was a kid, funny animal comic books and cartoons were a big thing. They are not, don't even exist now, unless you want to count like The Simpsons. Or it's like deformed humans or whatever. But, there were funny animal books everywhere. The Daffy Duck, there was Mickey Mouse, there was like a billion different offshoot brands of like ones that you've never heard of. It's almost like Cowboys and Indians. Like no kids even understand about the idea of playing with Cowboys and Indians. Or like, I got this Gene Autry gun, worthless. It's almost like what baseball cards are now. I got all these baseball cards. So what? What are they? That's weird. So it's like collectibles change as people die. So it's like sort of like all the people who are 90 now are the ones who were buying, Cowboys and Indians, and when we're 90, we're gonna be like, remember them comic books? People are like, yeah, whatever. Digital, weird cubes, watching stuff. It's like, so Rocket Raccoon, I think, was born from that idea generation. We're like, remember all those cool, weird, funny animal things? Let's make a funny animal thing in space. Like one of his pal was Walrus. That was his name.
That's right. That was his
sidekick. Yeah, like really goofy. And so that's kind of what that comic book was, and that's what he was. It was like kind of tongue-in-cheek, funny, goofy animal stuff. And,
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Omaha the Cat is one of the ones that transcended, but we can't really talk about that.
I like Omaha.
I like Omaha. All right.
Now Rocket Raccoon, correct me if I'm wrong, he really doesn't have. He's a raccoon.
Yeah.
He's not a giant mutant raccoon. He's a raccoon who has no superpowers per se, other than the fact that he's sentient, he can talk.
And he can bite you.
And he's got a great military mind. He carries big guns.
Yeah.
How did a character like Rocket Raccoon go from that era to being one of the Guardians of the Galaxy? How does that happen? A raccoon with a gun.
Yeah, I think they were just, somebody was like, when they were coming up with the new roster, they're like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we just had a weird animal in this? What about Rocket Raccoon? I think it was really like, no way. And then they argued about it for weeks, and then somebody was like, just because you're against it, I'm for it. And then he got a bunch of other. That's my opinion. I don't know. I think it's good though. I love that. I love that drawing that they released. With him, it's like it's going to be awesome. Especially with what we can do with CG now. I guarantee you, he's going to be the character hit from that whole movie. Like, not only are kids going to dig it, but like we're going to dig. Oh, that's the Rocket Raccoon is awesome.
Yeah, as long as they don't go Jar Jar Binks.
I was actually going to ask it. Isn't there at least a potential danger of him being kind of a Jar Jar Binks and all this?
I really don't see it because Jar Jar Binks is one of the worst characters ever thought of.
Yes, absolutely.
Ill-formed, almost like a racial stereotype right from the beginning. Misa Baba Gooba, like get out of here. You know what I mean? And then the other guards were like, it's like it's crazy. Like the Star Wars movies are so racially crazy. Like especially those prequels are like, oh, those are supposed to represent the Japanese. Those guys are the Nazis. Who's Jar Jar supposed to? You know what I mean? Really? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think this character is going to become like everyone's going to love this character. Well, if they do him right and they give him like a cool military, like tough little like I'm gonna like a not give up type of character.
Right.
That's a little difficult.
I think that Bill Mantlo and Keith Giffen are just really big Beatles fans.
Beavers or
Beatles?
Yeah. Rocky, the song Rocky
Raccoon.
Raccoon.
Originally named after like a Beatles song.
Yeah, that's what I just think they're really big Beatles fans, and they wanted to have a little homage to the Beatles.
So then here's a question I got. Understanding the Guardians of the Galaxy as you do, and knowing the 5 characters we see, very suspicious by his absence is Adam Warlock, actually, because he's such a significant character in the books. But how, now I'm asking you to speculate, how could we see all this translate into the Marvel Universe Phase 2, translate into the Avengers 2, because this is the one that's going right into Avengers.
Seamlessly. They've set it up from the beginning. Cosmic Cube.
Really? Still
Cosmic Cube and the Infinity Gauntlet.
So you think they're going to go with both of those?
I think they're going to go with both of those. I think Thanos is going to get the Cosmic Cube, which will help power those gems that he has collected and create the ultimate thing of what he wants is to create death. He wants to join death. He loves the idea of death, and Drax the Destroyer was created basically to stop Thanos.
Now, didn't Drax in an earlier comic actually kill Thanos?
Yeah. Yes. No, I thought Thanos killed Drax.
No, I'm pretty sure I read in the new issue that Drax killed Thanos at one point. Yeah. But didn't Adam Warlock also, wasn't he like battling Thanos at some point too?
Yeah, those guys were entered like all of those Starlin issues with like Little Pip and all these like crazy psychedelic. Adam Warlock in the 70s was super psychedelic and weird. Thanos was his main villain. So
now, in the description that we've seen Marvel put out, it says that this group of characters, being the Guardians of the Galaxy, they have something that everybody wants. That's the description. Could that be one of the Infinity Gems? Or do you think it might be something else?
It's either the Infinity Gauntlet or it's the Cosmic Cube. I think why go small when you're like, it's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants.
No.
I see, like, they could bring the Red Skull back into Guardians of the Galaxy. He disappeared, and supposedly he's, we don't know if he's dead or not. He had the cube when he disappeared.
Yeah, I suspect we haven't seen the last of him in the Marvel universe.
I would hope, and I think it'll feed through really great. I think a lot of people were, I was like, how come not like Black Panther or, any number of other, Doctor Strange. I mean, when I heard about Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, that is just weird.
Yeah.
It was weird to me. And then the more I thought about it, it's like, it makes more sense than opening up with the Starjammers or like any of the other sci-fi characters. Like, obviously they don't own Galactus or the Silver Surfer yet. So it's like, there's a lot of characters, it's like, what are they going to do? Yes, the other movie, The High Evolutionary, coming 2017. It's like some weird purple dude with a bunch of animals behind him. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, maybe not that one,
Yeah.
So I think it kind of is an interesting way to like get into the outer space world and actually weave the entire fabric of the Marvel universe. It's sort of like once you're in outer space and you realize, oh, there's all these different galactic empires set up and the Avengers interact with these guys, Iron Man maybe not so much, but he's part of the Avengers. I mean, I don't know how they're going to introduce other super teams, like right now the Fantastic Four is over at Fox, and I think they have a very limited group of villains that they could use.
Right.
So we might see 3 more movies out of that. I don't know how that, whatever those rights issues are, but.
So let me ask both of you this then. There's been a lot of talk. Okay, we know Iron Man 3, Captain America 2, Thor 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers 2. We've been hearing, and Jimmy, let's start with you and we'll go over to John. We've been hearing a lot about Edgar Wright working on Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Where do you think that fits into this whole construct we've got here?
Well, I'm looking at that, and it seems they've obviously, as you've said, we've got Thor, we've got the Captain America, all the sequels coming out. I think they could fit Ant-Man either right before Guardians or right after. It seems like that's a good.
So you think there's a
for
possibility that this lineup they've got set could still be messed with a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely. I mean, they're constantly changing. Didn't they add a scene, for Avengers like last minute?
Yeah, it was different adding a scene and adding an entire movie.
I really do. They think that. I think there's somewhere Edgar's Ant-Man is in the works, in the plans. And I think it's going to, in a couple movies, we're going to be like, oh, okay, they're. That's what we're seeing.
I agree. I think they'll probably integrate it like in between one of the other 2 movies.
Yeah.
Like they didn't mention Hank Pym in the Avengers, but I know that they shot a scene talking about him. They just cut it out. So that might be one of the deleted scenes on the Avengers Blu-ray, or I don't know. I wasn't there. I just remember reading, they shot a scene. So maybe they were like, yeah, don't even use his name at all. But anyway, I think he was referenced in a scene, but they cut it out. So I think what they're going to do is like, either they won't use Hank Pym at all and they'll use one of the other Ant-Man, like Walter, I think his name was Walter Lang, the red-haired guy who's like, I'll steal the information for the Kingpin. Oh, I've got power. Nah, I'm a tiny dude, It's like they'll use that with the power of discovery. Like Hank Pym might be a little more like, yes, I'm small. Now I shall communicate with ants. It could be more exciting if it was a guy who's like freaking out, almost like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the Marvel universe. I mean, I think that, to me at least, would be, like, I'd rather see that than just, like, a superhero version of Ant-Man. I'd rather see, like, how cool it would be to be that small. And then it's a little silly, too, his powers. Like, he's, like, the size of an ant, yet he can punch with the power of a normal human. I always thought that was weird. Like, ow, my leg, like, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like getting punched, but, like, people fall over. I mean, it's with what we see now, it's not as dynamic. So, I think going with more of a comedic aspect, and then also the pure power of like, I can command insects.
Right.
Like, imagine that. Like, 40 wasps on you now,
Right.
And not just regular wasps, the tarantula hawk wasp. Yeah. Hey, 5 bullet ants, son. Oh, like bullets,
Yeah.
So you're talking about a lot of power that people don't really think about when they think about Ant-Man.
Let me throw my conspiracy theory by both of you here. Joss Whedon, of course, did Serenity. James Gunn, who they're saying could possibly direct Guardians of the Galaxy, directed Slither. Could we see Nathan Fillion jump into the Marvel universe here and maybe be maybe
Ant-Man?
I think there's
Ant-Man?
no maybe about it. I think it's very likely.
You think that's likely?
I'm hoping. Yeah, I think it's likely. There's too much. Nathan's so big in the geekdom. I don't know how you can avoid that. And he's a great actor. He you know what? I think absolutely.
I would say Nathan Fillion as Star-Lord. And
I didn't even think of that.
Michael
That's-
Rooker as Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, Michael Rooker would be
Wouldn't that be crazy? His
That'd
voice,
be great.
That would be
instant awesome
great.
character. I mean, you're like, done. Marvel, listen. Whatever. Or James Gunn, listen.
All right, from Launchpad McQuack, who's in the chat boards here. Thanks, Launchpad. What do you guys think of the Daredevil sizzle reel? And do you think Marvel should go more 70s gritty?
I was just talking about that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. See, I'll be honest with you. The sizzle reel itself, I was so excited to watch it, and this is just a lot of cutscenes from Ben Affleck's thing with some Serpico music or whatever. I liked the. No, let me rephrase that. I was interested in the concept of a 70s era set Daredevil story. I was interested in that. Very curious to see how somebody like him would have turned that.
Luke Cage, Iron Fist. Power Man, Iron Fist 70s. Bam.
Yeah.
Somebody do that, please. Like Black Dynamite's a big hit on Cartoon Network. Someone make Power Man, Iron Fist in the 70s go.
Can I just throw in
That's
just for a
that would be
second
fun.
how much I loved the Black Dynamite movie? I saw that.
Very
hysterical.
I saw that 4 times in
Funny.
theaters. I laughed myself
Funny.
sick every single time.
My favorite scene is when he's like running in the hallway and there's those guys with the eggs and he like purposefully knocks them over.
I died because people who don't live in LA won't understand this one, but there's a place, a very famous place in LA called Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And they got a Roscoe in the movie. He goes, what was it? Donuts and soup? Was that his original cut? Donuts and soup. Wait a minute, no, this doesn't work. And then somebody mentions chicken and waffles. You see Roscoe go, hey! It's like nobody who lives outside of LA would have got that, but that movie was genius. Overall, I wasn't really thrilled with the sizzle reel at all because I'm like, this just looks weird. But still, I was interested in a 70s style Daredevil. Didn't happen. I don't know what you guys think.
Exactly the same. It just didn't thrill me. I like the idea, but no, I not excited by it.
Okay.
Not excited.
All right, what else we got?
Yeah, and on a similar note, same character, different question from Emmanuel Hawkins. What do you guys think they'll do with the Daredevil now that Marvel's close to having the rights back to TV?
That's the question.
That is
like
that
really
is kind
like
of the
with Marvel. I had
issue.
to think because this is what was going through my head. Tell me if I'm way out to lunch here. What was going through my head was Marvel getting back Silver Surfer, getting back Galactus, whatever. I had the feeling Marvel wanted the Daredevil rights to come back. Okay, so they got him back. I was asking, where do you fit Ant-Man into all this? What do they do with Daredevil? Do we see Daredevil show up in Captain America? Do we see, well, I mean, obviously not, they've already got the script, but like, are we 6 years away from seeing a Daredevil incarnation? Do they work him in? What do you guys think they're going to do with Daredevil at this point?
I think television
Yeah,
is a
that's
good, is a
television
good
options?
idea. I mean, they've got the Hulk TV show that they're going to develop, which probably won't happen.
Right. I
think it'll probably fall apart because I remember when I saw Avengers, a lot of people were like, "Oh, the Hulk's gonna," and I was also like, "The Hulk." And then right after seeing the movie, it's like Hulk needs his own movie.
Yeah,
with
I
Mark
agree.
Ruffalo, just totally won. Those other two movies, they disappeared,
Right.
and it was like. Mark Ruffalo's a great actor. He really brought some cool, unique, new version to Bruce Banner. They nailed the Hulk completely. I loved even the motion capture where it was like after Iron Man had fallen back to Earth, you didn't know if Hulk was going to punch him or not. You're like, what's going on? He's just like all angry. It's like perfect interpretation. That's all Joss. He nailed it.
Yeah.
So go with his lead. If they're going to make a TV series without Mark Ruffalo, I think it's a stupid move. I think it's sort of like whatever your Hulk, just call it the Hulks and have like the blue dude and the red guy.
and the red guy.
Everyone who's not the Hulks, like have She-Hulk in there, like a hot She-Hulk, and make it
Star,
like
son of Hulk.
yeah, whatever. Like
Yeah.
it all takes place in Mexico City. It's all out in the desert where it's really cheap to shoot. Like
Okay,
Thor.
this is completely unrelated, but because Dennis is here and I can't keep this in, apparently it's now being announced that John Bones Jones will indeed now fight Lyoto Machida. I know. Sorry, that's just an MMA aside. Totally off topic. But Daredevil, where does Daredevil? You like the idea of a show?
I say
TV,
that, why haven't they moved into TV yet? That's a good. I think they're already with
Yeah,
all
they
the
have Cloak
movies.
and Dagger can be a
Yeah.
good TV series.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's one of the things. Like,
Absolutely.
and I'm not even a super big fan of Cloak and Dagger, but when you think about the abilities to adapt something into like what a lot of people like watching on television, which are procedurals and these other things that something where you have a group of characters that move into new situations every week, that makes perfect sense for Cloak and Dagger. Also makes perfect sense for Daredevil. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer, and he's also solving crime, and he's fighting the Kingpin. There's multiple issues. There's all the elements that make a good TV show, like a courtroom drama, also crime procedural, that are in Daredevil that would actually work over. And here's the thing about movies: it's like 90 minutes to 2 hours. A TV series, you got like, I just watched 56 hours of this thing. It's like crack. I can't stop watching Breaking Bad. I'm watching like 11 episodes. Game of Thrones, I remember I smoked through the first season. I was like, that's how television is watched now. Television is not watched per week. I don't even want to watch a TV show until there's 3 of them stacked. That's because I enjoy me and my girlfriend watch
I now
TV.
wait for seasons to be done, and then sit down over a weekend and
so
then
Nielsen's
that is the
don't even
future of
count.
television.
Yeah,
of-
people
of-
don't even
of
understand. Like
ingestion.
Nielsen's, they're still going by this archaic, weird,
It's dated. It
strange
doesn't
way.
mean anything.
People DVR, people watch things on Hulu and Netflix. That's what's now. So people who don't understand that, you're like shows that are popular are getting canceled for no reason because the Strange Family in Idaho didn't watch it. It's like, who are you and why do you have a job in a powerful position? Get lost.
That's my concern about Marvel going into TV, though. Is there an audience for it? Are they going to tune into an hour TV?
A giant audience, but you know what? They have to be like Marvel. Just has to be like, look, it doesn't even matter what these hillbillies say who watched what, because it's going to get DVR'd and it's going to get downloaded. Did you see Iron Man, Thor, Captain America are all on Netflix? So people are just watching that stuff because they understand. It's like, get that on so that everybody can see it. Why hide it? That's the thing about Comic-Con. Let me just go off on a rant for a second. Comic-Con Hall H, it irritates me that they do not release the trailers and things. Like when I first started going to Comic-Con over 15 years ago, it was like you went to Hall H, you'd see something, a week later you'd be able to see it. Like not 15 years ago, but like 5-6 years ago it would be online, those trailers. Now they started making it where it's like, oh, we're going to just show only these exclusives. Like Pacific Rim, no one knows what Pacific Rim is.
Yeah.
If they let that trailer drop one day after Comic-Con ended, everyone on the planet would know what Pacific Rim is because everyone's like, oh, what's this Comic-Con thing that I can't get into? All these people who aren't nerds that aren't into this culture that we're into, now we're going there. But on top of that, there's the entire world that was watching and wanting to see what came out of Comic-Con. So instead you have a few panels that nobody wants to watch.
Well, this is the thing. One of the best examples of a film going to Comic-Con making a big splash was the first Iron Man film.
Yes.
They showed it to the audience. The audience went crazy for it, started a buzz. But if you don't then follow up that buzz by giving the rest of the public something to see, because it was only about a week later that the Iron Man trailer then leaked.
Yes.
And then we heard all the buzz from everybody talking about it. Then we got to see it for ourselves, and it snowballed.
Yep.
And these studios are losing out on an opportunity. They're getting some buzz at Comic-Con, but then the buzz dispately and dies after a few days.
They do nothing with
they're
it.
not
They
following
do
it up.
nothing with
now,
it.
getting back to the TV stuff, I'm very skeptical about anything Marvel, especially Hulk, moving to television for one very, very important reason: budget and production time. Because the Hulk that we all love from the Avengers, you can't do him on TV.
Nope.
And here's the reason: you're either going to have a show where Mark Ruffalo only turns into the Hulk every like 3 episodes, or he turns into the Hulk and you start recognizing. Remember that old cartoon show Rocket Robin Hood? Did you ever see that?
No.
And it was just really cheaply made. It was Robin
I wanna
Hood but
see it
set
now,
in
though.
space
I know,
in the
that
future,
sounds
right?
awesome.
But what it was it was really, really cheaply made, and like half of every episode was repeated loop footage from other episodes. That's all it was, because they had to make it so cheap. So you'll only either see the Hulk every 3 episodes, or when you do see him, you'll start recognizing patterns, because wait a minute, this is exactly what he did in episode 2. And I just don't see them being able to do something on that scale.
No.
And that's something that Marvel fans would be satisfied and happy with. I'm very skeptical about that. But anyway, that's just
Daredevil. I think they could pull off.
Daredevil,
Yeah.
they could.
They could pull
off
Daredevil
completely.
could.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
All right,
I agree with you.
we got time for 2 more questions.
2 more questions.